Thank you very much, Chair. Can I ask the Irish Wheelchair Association, 30 days notice was given to staff, some of them after 20 years service. Do they think that that's right, considering you've admitted here in evidence today that you were looking at alternatives for the last 3 to 4 months? Secondly, you state here in your evidence that if the funding was found, that you'd bring a proposal to the board. Mr Cunningham, can you confirm here to the committee that you told the staff that it would be unlikely to reopen even if funding had been available because of the issues that you raised here at the committee today? And can I ask you to confirm that, yes, I did meet with you on the 20th of July of 2017 and committed to communicating with Minister McGrath. You met with Minister McGrath on the 24th of July, and can you confirm that Minister McGrath did confirm to you that I had made contact and was very supportive of the project in Dunaman? But in light of the fact that you make great play of the fact that you met 2 Cabinet Ministers, Minister McGrath and myself, did you not think that when the HSE did come back to you eventually and say that they weren't forthcoming with funding, that it would be worth your while maybe contact those 2 individuals again? And can you confirm, Ms Keogh, that within 24 hours of the staff being informed, I made contact with you requesting an urgent meeting to explore the options available to us and the local community to keep this facility open? Can you confirm that I subsequently contacted you on 2 further occasions in relation to that, and I have yet to receive a response to those requests? So in light of that, will you reconsider the evidence that you've given here to the committee regarding your willingness to postpone this decision if funding is being made available? Because Minister McGrath has also made that request to you on 2 separate occasions, which he has confirmed to me, and that commitment has not been forthcoming. And can you explain to me how you have moved very quickly to complete a procurement process for 1,700 bed nights? In fact, within 20 days of informing the staff, you've gone through a procurement process. It seems to me that the IWA has already made its decision and its board has already made its decision.
Thank you, Deputy Naughton. Ms Keogh.
Yeah, so Deputy Naughton, I think you've asked at least 5 questions there, so I will do my best to address all of them, and if we leave anything out, obviously please come back to me on that. With regard to the staff at Cuisle, the staff at Cuisle have done a fantastic job. They have been fabulous ambassadors for IWA over the past 22 years. It has been extremely difficult for IWA to get to the position where we are making people redundant. It is not something that we do lightly, and it is not something that we do without great thought and great consideration. With regard to the level of notice that was given to the staff, we have operated within the statutory legislation that is there around that. Because the centre would have been due to close at the end of the first week in December anyway, because it normally closes then until sometime in February, we didn't feel it would be fair to tell people on the 1st of November that they would be losing their jobs next February and having them sitting in a limbo situation until that point. I go back to some of the comments made by Senator Dolan earlier on. It is never easy to make anybody redundant. I have been on receiving end of redundancy myself twice. It is devastating, and we accept that. If there was an easier or better way to do this, if there is an easier or better way to do it, we will certainly reflect on that and look at that into the future. I'm going to ask Tony to talk about the clarification you sought regarding his meetings with him. Yes, you did contact me within 24 hours of the notice of the closure of Cuisle, and I asked Tony, on my behalf, as the National Director of Services for Cuisle and a number of other IW services, to contact you on my behalf and give you the background and the reasons for the closure, which I understand that he did. You did send 2 further emails to me requesting certain actions be taken, including keeping the centre open for a further 12 months while solutions could be found. I go back to my comments earlier on. That is not within my remit or my gift as CEO to do, but I will refer and relate those comments back to the board of IWA. With regard to willingness to postpone the decision, Again, that is not my decision to make. I, as CEO of Irish Wheelchair Association, along with my colleagues on management, work at the behest of the board of IWA. It's my job to execute the decisions of the board, and that is what I am doing. If anybody else brings a proposal back to me, I will bring it back to the board. I have not received any such proposal.
No, you have
at this
received a
point.
request from me which you still have not responded to.
Well, I apologise for that.
Just to make
Deputy
sure that is clarified.
Yeah, no, and I apologise for that, and I would just like to go on the record to say that we have had...
As have been from other colleagues as well.
Yeah, and we have been inundated, and apologies if we have not been able to get back to everybody at this point. With regard to the procurement process, we've already talked about that, and we have said that we began a procurement process a number of months ago as a contingency to ensure that if we did get to the point that we had to close Cuisle, which is the point that we only got to on the 18th of December, we would be able to provide a service to our members from spring of next year, and that they would not be left without a holiday in 2020. That is the reason that process was started a couple of months ago. So we had a backup plan, we had a plan B. The last thing we wanted to be doing was announcing that we had to close Cuisle when there was no alternative service in place.
Yeah, I think the first one was about what I said to staff, was it?
No, I think that has been addressed. That's
right, okay.
The issue in relation to the
So
postpone.
in terms of my contact with yourself, what I can absolutely confirm is that you were very supportive of the project and that you committed to talking to Finian McGrath. To be quite honest, I can't remember what Finian said to me about your contact, but I know you were supportive and did commit to contacting him. And that's as far as I can go on that point.
Yeah, just very briefly, Chair. Can I ask three very brief questions? First of all, have the Irish Wheelchair Association agreed to leave the building and its contents on the 29th of November next? What's going to happen to the funding that has been raised locally by the community? And thirdly, on the off chance that the landlord decides to continue the service after the 29th of November, will the Irish Wheelchair Association support this, given the feedback it has received from its members that they are delighted to continue visiting Cuisle?
I'll take the first two. Okay. So sorry, Deputy, the first question, have we agreed...
Have you agreed to leave the building and its contents on the 29th of November?
We are in negotiation with the landlord about that at this point. We will still be the leaseholder as things currently stand beyond the 29th of November, and we're in those discussions with the landlord about the future of the lease and what that will look like, so I don't have any further update on that.
And the future of the equipment? The
future of the equipment, currently the plan, do you want to take that?
Yeah. I'll take that if you don't mind. There's a lot of equipment in the building, and just a point of clarity on that, the service is ceasing on the 29th and certain staff will be finishing, but there's a wind down period as well for the rest of us. It's not a matter of just walking away from the building or from the service, even from a records point of view, because the service is continuing afterwards in the new year. So there's a whole piece to be done around that. As far as we've gone with the landlords is that we have indicated that we need to talk to them about the lease. And after that, it's, I suppose we have to talk to them and see, well, what are they proposing with the building? All I can say is that the reason we're leaving the building is because of the works required. Once we leave the lease, I suppose it's the responsibility of the landlord what they do with the building, or anyone else that might take it on with the background that's there. I don't know. But certainly all the assets in it will be considered in the context of all of that.
So the IWA would be willing to consider a handover of the facility as it stands at the moment if someone were to continue on to provide the existing respite service that is being provided? We'll
enter negotiations, I think it's fair to say, with anybody. Some equipment we will require for continuing the service. Two people, it's a national holiday centre, Cuisle. It's unlike the Kilkenny one, is for the Kilkenny area. It has been a national holiday centre. We continue to provide the service as we've outlined in detail. Some of the equipment will be required for that. Some of the equipment would be fixed assets in terms of the building, and some of the building wouldn't be, maybe, I don't know, some of the assets have to decide what happens. It may be leaving them in the building as part of the negotiation. They may not want them in the building, but all doors are open in terms of negotiation.
Just to answer your question about fundraising income that was generated locally, Deputy, at this point, all income fundraised locally for Cuisle has been spent in Cuisle. We included in our documents a detail of the deficits that we have at the centre.
Well, no, in fairness, in your evidence earlier, you said that there was 25,000 generated locally to put as the local contribution with the leader funding. You've not drawn down the leader funding. You've not drawn down the municipal district funding. So I presume that you have not spent the local funding that has been raised. And if there is another project that is willing to go in there and operate it, will that funding, which was generated for that purpose, be made available for that purpose?
Yeah, so we certainly wouldn't draw that funding down, and if we are to leave Cuisle, we would not be allowed to draw that funding down.
No, we're talking about the fundraising.
The fundraising piece, sorry. Tony, go on. Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood you.
Absolutely. Look, there's parts of this is no easy answer. The funding is there, it's not spent. We have a lot to consider in terms of moving forward, including, I was talking to some of the staff who were involved in some of the fundraising, and, you know, even looking for opinions. Well, you know, it's not just made up of a lump sum, it's all different pieces that people are involved. Some people did it alone, people did it collectively. We have to make decisions around that.
But it was fundraised for Cuisle.
Traditionally, it was fundraised for Irish Wheelchair Association. Can I finish my point? It was fundraised for Irish Wheelchair Association. Traditionally, as an organisation all around the country, fundraising that's raised locally stays locally.
Yeah. No, just to correct for the record, to say that the funding was raised on the premise that it was to provide the matching funding to the leader grant and the local authority grant to carry out works in Cuisle and Dunamon. That was the purpose, and if needs be, we can bring the people that did the fundraising to give evidence before the committee to verify that.
No, there's no need for bringing anyone in front of a committee. The money is there, there's transparency, we have a record. As I said, we've had some conversation with staff. The money isn't running off to Dublin or anywhere else. We have to look at it and see as part of the wind down.
And I think just to echo Tony's...
In summary, and we are going to allow people to come in with one more question, but in summary, and to try and make a sense of what has happened this afternoon, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for coming in to give your evidence and to explain the situation in relation to Cuisle, and thank you for doing that. You've obviously picked up the passion in this committee and in the members who are closely associated with the area in Cuisle. So you can see that the passion is there. It's now out in the political arena. There is a consensus, I think, among the members who have attended this committee that they want to see this continue in whatever way it can possibly be done. It is a very unique service. It would seem to be a unique service, not only in Ireland, but in other jurisdictions as well. And it would be a shame to lose it without us, as politicians, giving you every assistance to try and keep it open. And I understand that you have gone down the channels that you've gone down, and they haven't been successful. But having aired the issues this afternoon, I think, as Michael is proposing, that this committee would write to the Minister asking that there would be a review of how Cuisle is being funded, how funds are being made available, and if you could defer your decision to close for a number of months to allow the political process that has started here today to feed through to see if funding can be found, or if there's a philanthropist out there who hasn't been identified yet, or whatever way funding could be provided, if you would defer the closure for a period of time to allow the political process to put its weight behind what everyone here wants to happen.
Chairman, I think, with all due respect, I think what the view of us here is that the committee should write to the board of the IWA requesting that they would postpone this decision to allow us put that opportunity in place. I have already put this in writing to the CEO. She hasn't responded to it. The Minister has confirmed to me on 2 occasions he has put that request to the CEO. So I think the responsibility now is that the committee would ask that this would be formally presented to the board. And I think that's the wishes of the members here and of the community and the people with a disability who use the facilities.
I think that's a very acceptable proposition, and we will.
If you make that proposal, I will second it, and I think every Oireachtas member will agree.
Everyone will, yeah.
Okay, so we will do that. But we will also write to the Minister and send him a transcript of what transpired here this afternoon, and encourage him to review the situation from his point of view.